This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, March the 29th, 2022, episode 376. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another edition of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. My name is Nick Craig. You can check out my daily political antics by visiting my website, nickcraig.com, or downloading the Wilmington's Morning News podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, our website with all of our show notes and pictures and everything else is infectionpodcast.com. As always, I am not alone. Joining me, as he has done for the last... Brian, I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, wow, we finally hit episode 200. And I was like, wow, that's quite the thing. And then I looked, and I was like, oh, damn, we're at 370 plus of Infection.
We're barreling to 400. So we're
so
we'll be here before you know it feels like.
Yes, sir. Hey, Brian, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. If you want to find me, let's get this out of the way. At Brian Aldridge on Gab, Parler, Getter, and True Social, I guess, when they come to Android. And we'll see. My wife's been trying to sign up, and it's just like a...
Yeah, it's a revolve. Yeah, I've been sitting on the sign-up queue for like 2 weeks. It just spins and spins and spins.
Yeah. But if you want to find my contact info, you could always go to my blog, biteoftech.com. And, of course, if you go to infectionpodcast.com, you can get a hold of Nick or I. And I encourage you to first go through Discord. And if you go to the upper right-hand side, there's a link. It gets you to Discord. It has a mobile app, a desktop-based app, also a web app if you don't want to install anything, or maybe you want to use it at somebody's house without having to install things on their computer. It's very easy, and it's free for pretty much all the features that are used. And then if you want to watch the podcast, I would encourage you to use Twitch, YouTube, BitChute, or DLive, which you can do live or after the fact. If you are going to listen to it to our audio-only version, those are only after the fact. We record those and then upload them for all the different podcatchers. If you're going to listen, I encourage you to go to the show notes for that particular episode as well, because on there we have links for articles, sources, videos, anything that we refer to throughout the show is included in this. And that way, if you are listening and maybe you wish you could have seen something that we were describing, that's the perfect way that you can go to it right away and see what we're looking at. If you want to support the show, there's a support tab up top, or you can go to infectionpodcast.com/support, where it's Prime, gaming subs, Humble Bundle, Amazon purchases, all kinds of different things you can do, Subscribe Star, any of those go towards a fund, which once we get to meet in person again and do a convention and have everybody come and do all that, which is tons of fun, the money will keep accumulating. So
yes, so fingers crossed we can get one of those done sooner rather than later. So we are patiently awaiting for, I guess, how PAX East goes, and then how it transitions into PAX West coming up this summer. Brian, you teased us last week with an announcement, a personal announcement.
Yes.
Do you have any of those details available this week?
Oh, yes. So we did our reveal. I'm not going to show a video here.
What is the reveal for what? For people that maybe are just joining.
So my wife is pregnant, and it is my baby. Yes, I guess.
Good clarification there, Brian.
Hey, my wife's pregnant.
It's an episode of Maury Povich going on over here.
Well, when people make fun of me when I say we're pregnant, and they're like, we are pregnant because I was a part of this.
Allegedly,
not a biologist, but you know what I'm saying.
Not a biologist.
I figured that part out. But okay, so we did our reveal. We went to my parents' house. Our kids made a volcano, like a one of those paper mache volcanoes that you make for science class. So they made one of those, and then my wife and I, we secretly mixed the color that the baby's going to be in the back room, put it into the volcano, and then they poured baking soda that they poured into there, and it came out, and so we are having a baby boy. So exactly man. What we were hoping for the first. Now my wife says girls are horrible, so we want that last.
She would be an expert in being a female, so.
Yeah, so I say she could say that. She's like, I don't want to raise a girl, and then if we try again for a boy and we get two girls, she'll be like, I just can't handle it. So this works out.
Well, congratulations, Brian. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm happy. So, I mean, first of all, I'm the final Aldridge in my line. So this meant a lot to my dad and means a lot to me. And so it meant a lot to my wife, for us to be able to carry on that name. So it's pretty cool. A girl I would have been just as happy with a girl, but it is good, to have that, and that's a possibility.
So, Brian, we're doing the show here live. I just got a text message from my father, who apparently is watching the show, and he said,
"Yeah,
I don't know if you remember, but this is the 2-year anniversary of Brian's earthquake that happened on the show." So apparently, I don't know how in the hell he picked that out, but it is apparently the earthquake episode. So we'll play that at the end of the show. I'll see if I can.
It's pretty close to the hurricane episodes that you had as well, because my wife and I were actually talking about this in the last 2 days. Well, because we were like, okay, we were talking about hurricanes about down where you're at, and we're saying that was about the same time as the earthquake here. So it was pretty close that you had hurricane season as well.
All right. Well, I'm gonna see if I can pull up that video, and we'll get to that towards the end of the show. So, thank you.
Very good
for the I guess we have an infection podcast historian. I mean, I don't remember what we talked about last week, so I mean, the fact that
Dad probably has a calendar of highlights that he saved.
Christ, I hope not. That's very dangerous. So let's get into
3 years ago today. You said this, son. This is great.
Yeah, great. Let's not do that with my my radio show, because I don't want to have to relive some of the BS I say for 3 hours a day. Brian, let's start off with Sony. I think it's only relevant that we kick off with Sony because we covered last week. I don't even know if it was a rumor. I don't know if it was a leak or a Sony rumor or a Sony announcement, but they announced that they were going to be essentially revitalizing some sort of PlayStation Plus service that they have to compete with Xbox Game Pass on the Xbox and the PC Game Pass on the PC, which are both, of course, run by Microsoft. And they did, in fact, do that today. They announced they're calling it the all-new PlayStation Plus. I kind of wish they would have changed the name. I understand why they didn't, but the PlayStation Plus has gone through so many variations over the past couple of years. Between PlayStation Plus, it was called, then there was PlayStation Plus Now. It's
or PS Now,
but it was all. But you had to have PS Now, you had to have PlayStation Plus. So it was this. There's been a lot of revisions of PlayStation Plus, and I understand, of course, from a marketing standpoint, why they kept it that way. But the name is kind of funky. So let's go into the breakdown of what this is. And this is what seems to be a complete and total, not a clone isn't the right word to use, but a copycat of Microsoft's model into how they are doing their streaming subscription service. So there are 3 tiers available: PlayStation Plus Essentials, PlayStation Plus Extra, and PlayStation Plus Premium. So names are also terrible, but it's Sony, so what do you expect? So let's start off with PlayStation Plus Essential, Brian, which is the baseline. It is the lowest tier that you can purchase. And looking at their blog on the PlayStation website, you, of course, get the online service. That's part of the PlayStation Plus. Plus, you will get 2 monthly downloadable games. So similar
are those the free games that they give you? That like the free game that
correct.
You can claim?
Yep. So you'll get 2 of those games a month, likely on some sort of staggered calendar release. One is like the 1st to the 15th, the other's the 15th to the 30th, whatever. Exclusive discounts, who cares? Cloud storage for saved games.
Well, those discounts are only a couple dollars usually. So when you see something that's like PlayStation Plus, discount, it'll be a $24 game and they'll take off like $2. So I mean, you're giving a discount, but it's not.
But here's the thing: it doesn't. It's not a
made me sway to buy one.
But here's the thing: it's not a groundbreaking thing because PlayStation Plus Essential is what you have to even play games online. So you're not going to have a PlayStation and not. It's the basic package, so it's a little weird. So exclusive discounts, cloud storage for save games, that's what you would expect, and then online multiplayer access. So not a whole lot here for $10 a month, which is what this is. It comes in at $9.99 in the United States, and they've got pricing breakdown for Europe, UK, and Japan as well. So that's the PlayStation Plus Essential, which is the current plus price of regular PlayStation Plus. Again, that's why they should have changed the name. It's stupid. So let's go to the second tier, which is more along the lines of Xbox Game Pass. So you get all of the additional benefits of the first PlayStation Plus Essential. And in addition, you get a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyed PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from the PlayStation catalog studio and third-party partners. Now, this is streaming. So you are not downloading these games. You are streaming these games to, they are downloadable for play. This is not streaming.
Yeah. Okay. So the games in the extra category are ones that are,
are just downloadable. So no streaming with that. And that comes in at $14.99 a month. So $15 in the United States. And here's the big one. This is PlayStation Premium, their creme de la creme, the top line. You get all of those benefits, including the 400 games, plus an additional 340 games available via PS3 games available via cloud streaming. So those the PS3 titles are not downloadable. They are stream titles. And then a catalog of beloved classic games, both available in streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, the PS2, and the PSP. Offers of cloud streaming access for a PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the extra and premium tiered markets, where PlayStation Now is currently available. So you have to be in a market where PlayStation Now, the streaming service, is. Customers can stream games using PS4 and PS5 consoles. There will also be time-limited game trials will be offered in this tier so that customers can try games. And there's also PlayStation Deluxe, which they have not given a whole lot of details on, which will allow you to, these are for markets without cloud streaming, and it will offer lower price compared to premium and include a catalog of beloved classic games from the original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP to download for play. And they've announced no details on what that pricing breakdowns. But PlayStation Plus Premium, Brian, is $18 a month.
Yeah.
$18 a month is a lot.
Depends how much you use it. Yeah, it depends how much you use it. If you look, there's a lot of games, and if it's the only thing you have, for instance, let's say with kids, they're constantly going to be begging for games unless you get them a subscription like this. And I think that you'd be happy to pay $18 a month for your kid to not ask you about buying any games every month. Because otherwise they're going to ask you for $20 and $30, $40, $50 games all the time. And instead you just say, hey, you have games you can play. You don't need to play what's on there. That's the parents' answer. And I think that's probably the market they're going for. The kids don't have to keep asking me for money for games.
And I'm sure that is the market that they're going for. But I'm just not sure that Sony has got the catalog to offer this. Now, when you talk about going back into the PlayStation 2 and the PSP and the PlayStation, all right, I think you've opened yourself up to a lot of classics.
Retro gaming in a way for some of the things that you can't without having that console. Not everything's backwards compatible now, and they put in their data center something that's obviously working with all of these, an emulator or something, and you can play some of these ones that I don't think, other than on the original disc, you'd be able to play.
But to get access to that, you need to spend $18 a month, which is a lot. I mean, retrospectively, compared to how Microsoft is doing their subscription model, it's expensive. The base tier of Game Pass, which includes it includes all of the games that are available on Game Pass, is only $10 a month. And the Game Pass Ultimate is $15, and that gets you access to literally everything. So their subscription service is coming in and depending on the market you're in, it could be even more. It's coming in at $3 more a month for what seems like, to me, a significantly less interesting amount of games. And also part of the PlayStation Plus Premium, Brian, is PC streaming in certain markets as well. It's not available. It will not be available everywhere, but it will offer some level of PC streaming for PS1, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games. So not PS5 games,
Yeah.
or it might be PS5 games. I'm not sure, but this will be streaming for PC. I don't think this press release was very well done by them. This breakdown of this
Yeah.
list is very confusing. There's all of these asterisks next to things, and
With all these disclaimers saying, "Hey,
all
but
these
this
disclaimers.
because
Why didn't they release an
they have to."
infographic?
Well, and one thing, yeah, I know we love the infographics. One thing, for instance, like the cloud streaming, they are probably going to be adding data centers. This is really the direction they're going. Right now, you're going to be limited by, does your market have data centers for PlayStation Now in your area? And I know they have them in a lot of, of course, the United States has plenty of data centers, UK, all the main places. But I think a lot of the places they're going to want this are places that now are getting Starlink and things like that. Well, it'd be interesting to see if this stuff is usable on those kind of internet connections, and if they can get the latency to be low enough. I've been impressed with Microsoft's version of it. I did not like PlayStation's version of it. I did try it. I streamed on PS Now when I was playing on PlayStation. It was choppy and it wasn't a smooth experience at that time. Hopefully they've gotten that fixed.
So this is scheduled to roll out over the next couple of months. It will become available in June for Asia, or excuse me, it will become available in June in the Asian market, and it will hit the U.S. market shortly after that. So it starts in June in Asia, and then it will roll out to North America, Europe, and the rest of the world. And then now PlayStation Now will no longer be available as a standalone service. So that is going away, and you will have to buy into one of the three tiers, either $9.99, $14.99, or $17.99 for that. Now the question has been, what games are going to be available on launch? And they include the likes of Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Marvel's the other Marvel Spider-Man, Mortal Kombat 11, and that's it. I mean, those are the games that Sony came out with as, holy crap, this is our new service, give us $18 a month. There's like maybe there's maybe one game on there, Death Stranding, that I could care about at all. So
they're going to have to put every PlayStation exclusive like day one. They're going to have to really do something to make this a little more appetizing for average person.
And Falcon is saying, can't you get all of those on PC? That's the problem. I don't know, because
except for Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I don't think so. I don't think Spider-Man you can, but like God of War, all these other ones they've been rolling out that were PlayStation exclusives. They've been rolling out on PC lately.
So I'm understanding this question differently than you is. Your understanding this question is, are these games available on PC to purchase directly? I understood his question as, can you stream these games on PC through the PlayStation Plus Premium? So to answer, if with what you understood it, yes. The way I understood it, interpreted his question, I don't know. I don't know what games as part of the PlayStation Plus Premium are going to be available on PC. Is it all of the library? Because it appears that it's just streaming, and if that's the case, it should be every game. But when you look at Game Pass on PC, Brian, you're actually downloading the games.
Yeah.
So that's a big disadvantage.
You have the option now.
You do.
You can actually stream or download on the Game Pass. But I found the streaming works very, very well, and it's instant. You don't have to do any installs. So I think for people that have kids, that they don't want them constantly, because kids, if they want to try all these different games nowadays on an Xbox, you're downloading 10, 20, 30 gigabytes per game. It's sitting there eating up your internet connection all day. If you let them download a couple things. And so I think the streaming thing is going to be really good for, especially over the summer, for parents who are like, all right, try them all out. And they don't have to worry about, for people with limited internet connections, having hundreds of gigabytes of internet usage in the first spring or summer break.
So what do we think about the service, the pricing, and the situation as a whole? What are your thoughts?
I think that they're trying to make this feel like the Game Pass by doing the different tiers. But if you look at what Game Pass offers, as you said, at the base level, it's pretty much this whole thing, and then the game streaming, so because they're adding in their premium, then they're adding 340 titles. you look at Game Pass, it's got that library at the base, and then if you get premium and all these things, then they start adding independent, certain publishers games and all this, to the point of just having a huge library that still this can't compete with.
So
I think it's going
here's
to come down to exclusives. If they can keep exclusives, maybe the price will be worth it, so that it justifies, I'm not paying $60. I'm paying this over time.
And that is exactly where Sony has lost this battle before it has even started, Brian.
Yeah.
Looking at the PlayStation Plus Essential, there is nothing on here about day one exclusives. Nothing.
Yeah.
And even in the PlayStation Plus Extra, adds a catalog of 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games. It says nada, jack about day one exclusives. And this is precisely how Microsoft has built up such a marketplace for Game Pass, because the day that the new Halo comes out, it's available. The day that the new Call of Duty comes out, it's available. There's no reason to buy the games. Sony, they haven't. I would imagine if they were offering this, they would have promoted it in their press release, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And that to me indicates
that would have been the selling point.
That would have been the selling point. That's why people are buying Game Pass, because you can play the $60 titles at the launch. Sony is not doing that. There's no change in the base plan. It's the same price. They just added a new name to it. No day one releases. This is no local PC downloads. This is a disaster. This is Sony is fucked. I don't know. I don't know of any other way to put it, Brian. There's nothing they can do to compete, and this seems half-assed in my opinion.
But that's how in the last couple of years, it seems like their responses to most of their things have been like this. So they're like, okay, we're going to do something to try to compete with something that Microsoft's doing, and it's like, oh, okay.
Can you believe?
Wasn't anything special?
Can you believe that at $17.99, one of the benefits, they have 4 bullet points. One of them is video game trials.
Yeah.
What is this, freaking 1990 where you get a disc from Xbox Magazine and you're putting it in your console to play 8 minutes of the new Doom demo? I mean, trials don't exist anymore, Brian. We don't even have.
I know. I always
game trials. Don't
I hated
exist.
it about Xbox 360 because they had those. Remember, they had those in the Xbox 360.
Yeah, the Xbox Magazine. I love. My grandfather was a subscriber to the Xbox Magazine, and he'd get the magazine, and me and my cousins would argue and fight over who got the disc that had 3 or 4 games on it.
So you could do all the trial games.
Yeah, exactly. Because he had an Xbox and he had Xbox Magazine, and we'd argue over the trial disc. But I haven't played a game trial since I was probably 10 years old. They don't exist anymore. And this is again, they have 4 bullet points. 4 for their top tier. And that's one of them. And then the other one is providing all of the tiers from the previous versions. So literally nothing.
And those are they're letting you access trials to games you can buy, right?
Yes.
That you can buy. Why are you purchasing the privilege to be able to try a game that then you have the ability to buy? Not that it shows up in the service. Not that they're saying, oh, you can pick 2 premium games for that month that you can stream or play. Like, that would be something to spice it up, where you could pick something from the library and have it be like your game of the month that you get to play for that month, but it's a premium game. Do something like that it brings me in. Not say, oh, we'll offer you free trials to the games that you can purchase.
Brian,
well, I could do that anyways on Microsoft.
I think you're being selfish, and you're not saying thank you to Sony for giving you the privilege to pay $18 a month to then purchase a $60 title. And shame on you for not being so inclusive and opening to Sony. Shame on you. Shame on you, Brian. What a stupid.
That to me.
It's a slap in the face. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but that's the thing. Before they buy. What? Why is not the trial available to everybody before they buy?
Yeah.
It's a trial before purchase. Like
yeah, you would think that the trial would be free. That's a really good point. Why is the trial not free for everybody?
You're paying for the right to be able to try a trial of a purchasable game. It makes 0 sense. I'm reading that. It just stands out to me as like, why? Isn't that stupid?
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing to offer in your tier.
Well, especially
because
the most expensive
tier.
We
can't have 3. We got to have 4 things on our tier, and 3 looks like too little. 4, okay. We'll give them free trials to games they can purchase. Sound good? Yes. Okay, let's do it. That's that's how this works.
So as funny as this may be, I think this really goes to show Brian the fact that Microsoft owns this market, will continue to own this market, and the next biggest player behind them is Sony. And at least as it looks right now, Sony can't compete with this press release in front of me that came out today, by the way. This is I assume Sony's best attempt at trying to compete. And if that's the case, then it's game over for Microsoft. If this is their best attempt at what they can offer, Microsoft is still the king. Yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah, Locklear's comparing these to those movie theater tickets that you get and they say you can't use on the new movies.
Oh yeah,
I remember when I first saw those.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, you buy a movie ticket, you expect to be able to go to the theater, say, here's a movie ticket, I'd like to watch a movie. Oh, no. Can't watch new movies. Only old movies. Where the ticket I purchased at the time didn't say that. That was something they added with the first time I did it. Because
as you can see here, Brian, I have this handy dandy prop on my desk that I found out. Yeah, my Regal Premiere. See, this gets me into all of the movies, my friend. No restrictions on this guy. So, yeah.
Well, it is. So, yeah, that's why I didn't have one of those.
Well, and I'm sorry for you. I hate that for you.
Falcon's saying it was almost as appealing as the free games and in-game content you get with Prime. All the games that you add to library on, but you never load the launcher to actually install them.
Yeah. So that is the all-new PlayStation Plus. Launches in June. Their title is All New PlayStation Plus with 700 plus games and more value than ever. I did have the distinct pleasure of scrolling through PlayStation's Twitter a little before the show, and people on Twitter are not satisfied at all. You have got folks that are very frustrated, very upset with it, calling out that these services this is just not a competitive service at all. And yeah, that's kind of, and just everybody saying Game Pass is just better. And I think unless you're so in the Sony camp that nothing else matters, that might be the case. But if you're objective in any way, shape, or form, Microsoft offers clearly the better packages here.
I mean, all the way around, especially if you're going to be
installing
things on PC. It's just the things that they are offering you, they're seamless now. Everything I've tried, I've not heard any complaints from people of how it performs, how it works. Everybody seems to be really happy.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got it, and I've been playing some Halo on the PC. It's downloaded, and it just works. I mean, I don't have any qualms with it, and it's free because I use Bing, so you can't beat that as well. Speaking of Halo, I just want to mention briefly the new Halo TV series is out, Brian. It's on Paramount, which of course I have a subscription to, so I'm definitely legally watching it. And it is this has been, I believe, 7 years in the making. I believe when they announced the Xbox One in 2013. They announced that there would be, and it could have been even early, it may have been 2012, that they announced that there would be a Halo TV series, and it has finally come to fruition. The first episode came out last week, and if you are a Halo fan, would highly recommend that you check out the Halo series. They're hour-long episodes. The production quality is phenomenal. It looks amazing. The suits look great. The Spartans look great. The aliens look great. The guns look super cool. Now there are some questions, at least from my vantage point, about the Covenant leader is a human, which, if you're a Halo lore person, doesn't really make a lot of sense. But it's a TV show and it's very good. So if you're a Halo fan, check out.
Well, my wife used to play Halo early on, so she might be interested in that. I never really played it because I didn't have my Xbox.
Tell her to check out my Plex server. It's it's available. Right, so, the Halo TV series, pretty cool watch.
Hey, well, let's continue on with Microsoft because there's been some interesting things this week and last week with Microsoft. Remember that hacker that we were talking about, that Lapsus?
Yeah, they hit
uh,
Nvidia, right, a couple
hack
weeks
that
ago.
hit Nvidia and it hit Microsoft.
Hmm.
They ended up finding out who they were, and it is a 16-year-old from Oxford.
Oxford,
So
this
he
college,
is
or Oxford in the UK?
in the UK.
Okay.
So he lived in his mother's house still, and
Literally a
he
keyboard
was
warrior in his mother's basement.
yep, and he ended up getting doxxed uh, online, but after an apparent falling out with his business partners. So the hackers revealed his name, address, and social media pictures. They also posted a biography of his hacking career, saying after a few years of his net worth accumulated to well over 300 Bitcoin, which is close to $14 million.
Oh my
He is
God.
uh, now affiliated with a wannabe ransomware group known as Lapsus, who has been extorting and hacking several organizations. So so they got him, and it'll be interesting to see how they charge him and how hard they really
Wow.
go. He's 16 years old, so this could be something that really they could keep him in there for 20 years. I'm sure if they wanted to. We'll see how the courts are in the UK. I don't understand, their sentencing guidelines and how strict they
Well,
are over there.
and the question's gonna be, where is he? He was arrested in Oxford, but
Yep,
is he
gonna be
going to be
extradited or anything.
extradited and charged in the U.S., or because these things happened
Yep.
on a global scale? Is there some sort of
Yep.
there's some weird like global court that can charge people, like they charge terrorists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if because I mean the argument will be made that this is no different than terrorism, and in some regards they're not really wrong. You're talking about stealing data and then extorting businesses to do it. I mean, that's a pretty, stealing data and hacking is one thing. Trying to extort businesses, large
Yep.
companies like Nvidia and Microsoft, that's kind of when you get into like the Edward Snowden, like, okay, hacking, releasing information, trying to be like a good
Yep.
guy, to, okay, you're a criminal. Like, you're not only just
Yeah. He's just
stealing
trying
the
to get
data,
money.
but you're extorting them. You're at this point you are a criminal. And you can make the
Yep.
argument maybe even a terrorist.
And now we don't know his name, of course, because he's 16. But he attends a special educational school in Oxford. I don't know if that special education here means
Yeah, it's not the
means
same
special
thing.
education.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that he doesn't mean he's special ed, as far as a kid. And so it's probably just a school, like a private school or something like that.
Yeah, or it could be,
Maybe one of our UK friends can clarify.
it could be a gifted, like they've got gifted schools for individuals.
Yeah, I
here in the
assume
US.
either it's a private school or a school for kids that are
It doesn't
very
really
well
say a
educated.
special education school.
A special educational school in Oxford. That's
Huh.
what they call it. I don't know what that means. I only know what it means in the United States, and okay, whatever. And so, also, 7 people between the ages of 16 and 21 have been arrested in connection with an investigation into a hacking group. They have all been released under investigation. Our inquiries remain ongoing. So
Well,
that
there's a
doesn't mean
couple
that
of
they were all people that were involved with it. Those would be people that maybe that knew about it or were on the outside involved too.
So what is my takeaway from this, Brian, is that if you're going to do business with other hackers online and screw them over, which allegedly is what this guy did, you probably should not tell them what your name is and give them any information about you, because he wasn't caught by a fingerprint left, digital fingerprint left behind by them hacking. And Falcon says they weren't that good. They got caught. No, they were good. The problem is he pissed off other people who knew who he really was, and those people ratted him out to the feds. And then that's how he got caught. He got doxxed because he apparently screwed over some old business partners.
Well, and they were actually tracking him, and I think they're saying they knew who he was, but they hadn't arrested him yet. Cybersecurity researchers have been tracking him for nearly a year, and they linked him to Lapsus and other hacking incidents that happened. And they said, here's a quote from them: "We've had his name since the middle of last year, and we identified him before the doxing," said Allison Nixon, a chief research officer at cybersecurity investigation company Unit 221B. Unit 221B, working with cybersecurity company Palo Alto, after identifying the actor, watched him on his exploits throughout 2021, periodically sending law enforcement a heads up about the latest crimes. So they were tracking him.
Now,
I don't know at what point they would have actually arrested him.
when they say tracking him, I assume that means they were tracking his online moniker and
Yeah.
not necessarily tracking him
What
as a
he was
person.
doing.
But they
No.
so they still
knew
have
who,
no idea
they knew who he
was.
was.
Did they though?
No, they knew who he was. They knew his name.
Oh,
But they were just tracking what he was doing online. They weren't, they didn't go bug his house or do anything like that. They were just tracking his online goings to see, so they could just tell officers, hey, he's been doing this illegal thing, so they could keep a record of it.
yeah. Well, that's great. Nothing better than knowing somebody's committing crimes and allowing them to do it and extort companies.
Allowing to get $14 million to a 16-year-old to accumulate $14 million in crimes. That's great.
Yeah,
and you knew about it for half a year.
Yeah, apparently his family, one of the individuals told the BBC, his family was concerned that he was trying to keep him away from his computers. So I don't know exactly what that means, but this stuff has got serious consequences. This will be quite the legal battle to play out here. I very much look forward to watching this play out. This group has pissed off some of the wrong companies that you don't want. I mean, Microsoft will make an example out of this kid for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. A deterrent is what they're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk here about some window Easter eggs that popped up. Well, one in particular that has been discovered that popped up, and it has someone that many people know as a meme. Gabe is listed in like Windows 1.0. He's in an Easter egg in Windows in the code of Windows 1.0.
Gaben?
And so there's an image. Yeah. I think wasn't it Gabe? I think it's Gaben. Yeah, from
Gabe Newell
Steam.
from Steam,
Valve.
from Valve?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So if you go to these pictures, and they show how there's like the Windows team, and it shows them on there, but you get that little screen to pop up, through some sort of an Easter egg. And there you go, Gabe Newell. He's listed there. So
how is that even possible?
I think he was on the team for Windows 1.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what I read into it a little bit, and I think he was somehow like linked to the team for Windows 1, and so they said thank you because he's on there. So, and there was another like comment in code in there that says, it's someone made a joke about him, because he'll come and try to overwrite your paste bin, your copy paste. It was the internal Office joke that was in like the Windows code, and it had they mentioned Gabe in there. So that I didn't know he was part of it, but it sounds like
now Windows 3.1 has been out for nearly 40 years, and this was just found.
Yeah. So and what they did is there's people that sit here. Well, this guy, he does it. He'll go and reverse engineer and try to find anything inside of the source code. Now there's a paste bin on here that you can click if you want to install a Windows 3 or 1, 2, or 3 on VMs, and it has a list of what you have to do to trigger some of these. One of these he wasn't able to trigger naturally, and he used some sort of code to make it happen because they haven't discovered the trick to actually trigger one of these. I think it's the newest one with Gabe.
Interesting.
But yeah, so they find these. They're still finding little weird Easter eggs and things like that. But the cool thing about the paste bin is they'll give you kind of semi instructions on how to decode. So like pretty much decrypt Windows 1 code. So you actually see the source code and things like that. And they do that for Windows 1, 2, and 3. If you're interested in a little fun project, it would be a fun little thing you'd probably learn from it.
Yeah, very cool.
And then another thing they're doing, Microsoft announced their DirectStorage API. One thing that this is actually going to impact gaming quite a bit.
Big time, yeah.
Because, being able to, I think you'll be able to like pause games and just do load times of games, of having games load in half a second is what I keep hearing. It's just going to be a big improvement.
Essentially, it allows so right now, for example, you load a game like Cyberpunk or GTA. There's all these assets in the world. Right now, for those assets to be processed, they're sitting on your hard drive or your SSD. They are funneled over to the CPU, and then the CPU tells the GPU what to do. DirectStorage allows the GPU to load those assets directly from storage. So not only are you saving load time because it's not crossing the damn, I don't remember the names of the West Bridge or whatever the bridges are that connect everything on the
North
CPU.
Bridge, South Bridge.
Yeah, so it doesn't go through any of that stuff. So not only does it give you faster load times because the stuff goes directly from storage to the GPU, but it will presumably also save you big time on CPU because the CPU doesn't need to do as much of that. I guess you could call it translation of converting that.
Yeah, you're not having
stuff
to
over to the GPU.
pull it from the hard drive, throw it into memory, and then load it into the video card memory and do all this. It's going to be instant, and it makes it to where, because now you're getting some of these SSD drives and NVMe, drives that are super fast. I mean, they're close to memory speeds, and you're dealing with assets that are so big that you just want to load them from that fast space directly into the video card because it's then holding that in the video card memory. So you don't have to wait for that long load of copying 2 gigabytes worth of assets, to your 4 gigabytes of video memory. And wait for that to happen. It's going to be pretty instant. So it'll open up, especially with some of the Epic, Unreal Engine, huge assets that they're going to be working with. That will make a big difference, I think.
It says DirectStorage will introduce support for GPU file decompression, which is exactly what it is. The CPU is the one that is responsible for doing those decompressions now, and it'll go directly over to the GPU. Which makes sense because the GPU, I mean, you look at the memory and the speed, the teraflops that these GPUs can process, they're more than capable of doing these tasks.
And having it compressed makes it transfer faster because you're using less of the bandwidth to be able to transfer the file to the memory, and then it can extract it right there. It'll just make the whole process where it opens up what they can do in these games, and there's less restrictions.
Yeah, the article claims
we're hitting bottlenecks.
Yeah, the article claims DirectStorage should lead to faster game loading and level transition times, more detailed textures, and fewer in-game pop-ups, meaning when you walk into a room or something and it loads and then 3 seconds later all the assets kind of just jut in at the last second because they were, the CPU was processing those to send over to the GPU and it was waiting. This is going to be a huge change in the PC gaming sphere. Huge.
Yep. Because this is what they're doing on the Xbox Series X, is using this kind of technology. Because I think you could put in, the NVMe as an addition or something like that. I don't know if it's built in, but this is what they're using for that to be able to get some of these faster speeds. So
yeah. So now it's of course
good for the PC.
It is going to be. This is not an automatic thing. This is going to be incumbent on developers to build DirectStorage. So the DirectStorage API is on Windows. And it is going to be incumbent on the developers to support DirectStorage. Now, for large titles, again, we talk about a new GTA coming out or a new Fallout. I would assume games like that, larger dev studios.
Because they're going to make it for the Xbox anyways. Anything that's an Xbox title that they're wanting to get true Xbox Series type of performance on, the RTX type of stuff, they're going to want to put that on there.
Yeah,
because it's going to just open up the world to them. So all the major titles that are on Xbox, I would be very surprised if any of them weren't using this technology.
Yeah. So game developers now have access to the DirectStorage API, and we could potentially see games rolling out over the next couple of years with this available. Want to thank our friend UGX Vibe for hitting us up with the 50-month resubscription.
I don't feel that old. How could we be 50 months? That's a long time.
And he also says, also congrats to Brian as well. Bob, thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. And 50 months, Brian, that is an incalculable amount of time. I mean, I don't even know where to begin to figure out how long of a time period 50 months is. It's incalculable. Yeah, it's just
it's a long time. So congratulations
way too long
to you for 50 months. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I think he's the leader. Isn't he the leader of the
leader of the pack? Yeah,
the leader of the pack right now. So cool. One thing also, Microsoft did make an announcement about the Steam Deck. They just said support is up to the studios on whether or not the games get the Steam Deck support. So now the ones that are owned by Microsoft, the various studios that are owned by Microsoft, that people keep asking Microsoft, are all of your games going to get Steam Deck support? And they're saying each of the studios, it's up to them to implement it and to make that happen.
Which I think is probably a yes, but we don't want to say yes because then somebody's going to.
We're not going to promise anything.
This obscure game that Microsoft studio makes.
This old engine that they lost the code for.
Yeah, exactly.
So like
that's Microsoft trying to save their ass a little bit on the front end there. Brian, let's talk a little bit more about individual game studios. And
Yep.
Amazon has announced that one of the bosses over there, Michael Frazzini, Frazzini, maybe his name should be Fraz.ini, has resigned. He was one of the founders that helped establish the Amazon game studios, and has been with Amazon for nearly 18 years, and has announced that he is going to be stepping aside. So now he says, of course, that he's just trying to take a mid-career break. I don't. Yeah, exactly. Now, he's been working at Amazon for 18 years, so it's not the craziest thing in the world to say, you know what, I've made my mark here. Obviously, I would assume, being the head of Amazon Games, he's probably done pretty well for himself financially, so you can probably take a couple of years off and kind of do what you want. So that is a possibility, but it seems, at least from my vantage point, when people leave positions like this, it's more of a, okay, I'm not really happy with what's going on here. I'm going to go find a new place to work. So I don't know what this means.
I don't know that it's
Studio.
necessarily because it's something bad. There's maybe they're not doing great. They've released 2 titles. One of them I thought seemed to be pretty popular. New World was popular in the beginning. I think it still is holding a user base to it. Crucible, of course, was bad. The Lords of the Rings MMO got shut down. So it's like, maybe they're trying to reorganize and pick somebody they think is going to be more successful. I mean, it could be them just wanting to have someone else step into that position, maybe that wants to still be there.
I don't know. It just something when you've got, here's the thing. Amazon is on the rise. Like, their game studio is kind of on the rise right now. Like, you could see if you were with Amazon Game Studios for 18 years being like, all right, we've done it for 18 years. I'm leaving. But if Amazon is everything on the rise right now. I mean, they are continuing to try and build and give themselves a foothold in this space. That's kind of why I don't necessarily buy I'm taking a little bit of a break. This doesn't seem like a good time to do that when you've got essentially an infant studio that has had some decent releases, but I think has probably fallen a little short of what Amazon would have hoped. I mean, you're talking about the resources of Amazon, one of the largest companies in the world. I don't necessarily think these projects have gone to what Amazon had hoped.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, I think that they were hoping that it was going to be a blockbuster for the MMOs that would just steal the crown and everybody would switch to that. But there's been other things that have come out that then people have switched to those. It was another title in the list of titles going through. It may have its day come back again as they do releases and updates, and it'll come in, but it's in that normal kind of sway of those titles. It wasn't the blockbuster that really jumped out at me. So I have the game. I played it a little bit, but I don't have a lot of time, and it's not a game that says, well, if I had time, I'd play that.
Yeah. So there you got it. I mean, now we patiently wait and see what comes of it, I guess.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and move on because there's been a lot of announcements about hardware, graphics cards, and different things. Intel, NVIDIA. We announced one last week. Was it AMD was doing a video card, right?
Yes.
Something, or not AMD. Who was
Intel.
it? It was
Intel's doing
Intel's doing their GPU, and then they were doing something else. But they have their Arc chip that they're Arc chip that they're doing, the Arc GPU, and that's one.
It's a
for
discrete
the graphics,
GPU.
or the laptops. Yeah, it's a laptop type built into a motherboard GPU. So this is different than the one we announced last time. The other one was for data centers and things like that. This is for laptops. And so Intel's going to be making their own discrete type of laptop GPUs, which usually they would use other manufacturers built-in chipsets. I'm trying to remember what Intel would have, but it was normally they either had the old business ones, which was the Intel chip series, that didn't have any graphics power to it. You couldn't play games.
Now,
or they would have third-party like NVIDIA's type of graphic chips in there.
Yeah, you're referring to Intel HD graphics or Intel Iris graphics.
Yeah, Intel.
But it's
so there were some, but they weren't not for gaming in any way.
No, and they were APUs built onto the CPU. These are not going to be just laptop chips. These are going to, from what I understand reading this, these are eventually going to be discrete PCIe GPUs that
like
you can
in
run.
Streaming boxes or like a streaming video game device.
No, I mean, like you could literally buy an Intel GPU and slot it into your computer. I believe these are going to be literally slottable.
So,
GPUs.
It's going to be a full chip, because
when I hear the word discrete GPU, that's what I think. I mean, you're talking about a discrete device. Now, what was leaked was a new Dell laptop, the Dell Precision 5470, that's got the Arc A300M, which A300 is the model, M indicating it's a mobile. But these are no longer built onto the CPU GPUs. These are separate, discrete GPUs that are going to have.
The ones that they're offering are okay.
Yeah, correct. At least that's how I understand it. I could be wrong, but I feel like
and that's the weird thing is they show one that's actually an external video card that you insert and install, and then they talk about the motherboard one. So it looks like they're going to probably be hitting both markets. Well, if it's the motherboard, if it's a laptop, it's got to be built in.
Correct.
I mean, there's no drop-in system for that. So this is going to be their new set of GPUs, and it seems like it's going to be a lot more powerful than compared to anything, because it seems like for anything that they were doing as a gaming laptop, they quit offering anything built in that was from them.
Yeah, the Intel graphics.
Maybe this is their way to come back from that.
Yeah, the Intel graphics have never been suitable, and I don't think they ever should have been, because at the end of the day, they
weren't made for it.
No, they use CPU resources and computer memory to process video. I mean, it's an APU built onto the chip. And with these discrete cards, they'll have their own VRAM, and they will not use up CPU cycles to process video, similar to mobile NVIDIA cards that are in laptops. I've got a 960 or 980 in one of my laptops, and AMD also offers mobile chips as well. This is an interesting ballpark for Intel to get in right now. As the GPU market,
there's a lot of competition coming into the GPU market right now.
There is. NVIDIA released a new.
Look at NVIDIA.
Well, yeah, they released a new chip or a new one today, the RTX 3090 Ti, which I started watching the Gamers Nexus video before we went on here. I watched a couple of other videos, and it appears to be not a flop, but not what people are looking for, to say the least, with where they are right now. So that's what. Well, kind of
one thing that they're moving into now are these server data center GPUs, which probably is for the gaming and anything that's going to be serving 3D content from a data center.
Like game streaming?
It's going to have to do video game streaming, video processing. All these things are going to be using these type of chips for encoding and decoding. So they've released this new Hopper server GPU architecture, and it supposedly has huge chips. Like they're really big. They said that the GPU is interconnect is almost the size of an RTX 3090 chip. So like one of their chips on of it is the size of the 3090 chip. So they're definitely going all out on this, and it's going to have incredible performance, which I think it is all aiming towards. People are having a harder time getting the hardware for their houses. It's getting more expensive. People don't have all the spending money, especially right now, that they did. And streaming seems to be the way. They'll probably be throwing these off the shelves, and as streaming gets bigger and bigger, because I think that streaming is going to be the standard, and having discs or things that you're downloading to install is going to be in the past, as long as you have a good internet connection. I think that's just going to be the way it is.
Precisely.
And this is all in preparation for that. They want to be the leaders in the market for it, and it sounds like they're already way ahead of it. They've got these chips, they've got them ready, and they've availed them, and they're huge. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, Brian, we got about 5 minutes. Was there anything in particular you wanted to
one more thing?
cover?
Asus. Asus has announced that it's reducing their their MSRPs aggressively for their graphics cards across all SKUs.
Yeah, but
So
here's the thing.
all of their lines of graphics cards are supposed to drop, but probably a new series is coming out.
No,
and
it's
then
not,
it's
because
gonna
here's the
beat that
thing. It
supply.
doesn't matter. It doesn't. But it doesn't matter if they drop MSRP, because nobody can buy them at MSRP, right? That's not the problem. The problem is there's not enough cards in the market.
If they're not available.
Exactly. So the MSRP on these cards are not bad. The problem is you can't get them at MSRP because there's so few in the marketplace. I have seen so many GPUs popping up on Facebook Marketplace over the past couple of weeks locally here in Wilmington, and they're ridiculous. I mean, they want, 2.5 times the price for a card, which is just ridiculous. So, I mean, it's good that they're lowering the MSRPs, and that's great. But I can't get my hand on one, so it doesn't matter. At least to me, it doesn't matter.
Okay, well let's talk really quickly. There's one piece of China news that I think we should talk about. Then the U.S. has removed tariffs on many imported components from China. I was looking through some of those. One, for instance, computer cases. There's lists of all these different things that that they are now not having any. Ignore. So here, I have one that shows some of the equipment still covered and restriction, but I've got a list here of a bunch of things that they have gone through and made where there's not the tariffs on them anymore.
Okay.
So it's quite a few different things, from building supplies. If you go through and look through it, you can tell they're just pretty much anything that has to do with manufacturing for us to make our own factories here. They pretty much have removed all tariffs from that. I think it's because they realize we're going to have to start building things here. And so they removed all tariffs on.
Yeah, but isn't that
was the majority
opposite
of the list?
If you remove a tariff, doesn't that allow it to flood into the market?
Yes, here.
So
they want cheap building supplies here.
Well,
so
yeah,
they're
but
allowing China to flood us.
Well, yes. So you want the cheap building supplies, but that doesn't mean the manufacturing is not going to move here at all. The only reason the tariffs
I can only imagine that's the reason he's choosing certain things, because it was a lot of equipment for building factories, like things you would use in factories were on this list. So I'm assuming he's hoping that making it cheaper, people will build their factories here.
Yeah, but also getting rid of the tariffs makes it more lucrative to make something in China and then import it into the United States.
Yes, and so that's why they only opened up certain items. They're making all the items to build the factory there, but you have to build the factory here because all of the the different machines and everything are what they're allowing to come here cheaply, not the products that those would make.
Also, be advised that if you are running Kaspersky antivirus, which I don't know anybody that's ever run Kaspersky, but I know that they sell it at stores. Like they sell it at Office Max, or they did at Office Max, Office Depot, and Best Buy.
Oh, they used to, yeah.
Yeah, even recently, I was in there a couple months ago, and the computer section's kind of this ratty corner in the back near all the clearance crap, like the broken TVs. Yep. And I was looking at the software, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize they still sold Kaspersky in stores. That's been added to some U.S. list of companies not to do business with, because it is a Russian antivirus.
But is it Huawei? Huawei has been on there for a while. Yeah. ZTE, which I know I've got something that uses ZTE here.
Oh yeah, ZTE makes a lot of chips.
Yeah, and some other one, Hytera, which I know, Hikvision, which is there's other parts of that name. That's one that uses a lot of security cameras for businesses. Kaspersky, China Mobile International, China Telecom, Dahua Technology Company. So that's a list of ones they're not wanting because they're worried about them installing firmware updates and things like that to put backdoors in and cause issues in the United States. That's correct. A lot of, or to steal information. Yeah. All right. War of information going on. So we'll see what happens over the next year or two. It's always exciting.
The true information war.
Yes, and that's the thing is we're unwilling to declare war on some of these countries. So we sit there and do digital wars and try to hack each other so that we don't have to say that we're.
You could also call the information war the info wars. You might be able to potentially.
Yes, it's because we had the Cold War, which is like a war that wasn't really happening. Well, now we have the info war because it's based on information.
Yeah, the info wars. Yeah, there you go. And so you can check that out.
Coin that term.
Brian, before we get out of here, I have gone back to the archives and pulled a clip of March the 31st, 2020, in which on this illustrious program, thanks to our infection podcast historian, we were able to salvage deep from the archives. So let's flash back, Brian, to 2 years ago when all hell broke loose in Boise, Idaho. Let's listen in. I think we've all probably been in similar situations at one point or another, whether it be a personal issue with like.
All right, hold on. I'm having an earthquake.
I see that.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I'm good. So Brian is currently at Brian's house. I'll be right back.
I wanted to make sure that everyone is okay. And the house wasn't falling down. I mean, you can see like everything was moving pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting day. Yeah, the literally, I mean, like full on shaking. You can see it. It shakes a little bit, and you're like, your eyes are like, and then it starts really.
I'm kind of like waiting to see why it starts getting more and more of like, okay, this isn't stopping.
yeah, this is a serious problem. So, yeah, there you go. A little piece of infection podcast history, nearly 2 years later. So, and Brian, you really are the nicest guy in the world, because I don't know of anybody else that when they're having an earthquake would go, "Are you okay?" But because you're a nice guy, Brian. And I mean that genuinely.
I mean, I didn't want to leave you hanging. I'm like, are you okay?
Exactly.
Like,
most people would be like, "Hey, I'm having an earthquake. Fuck off. Screw you and your podcast. I'm dealing with my earthquake over here." You're like, "No, is everything good to go?" See, that's what I'm saying. You're a good man, Brian. You're a good man.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to cover before we head on out here?
No, on that note, tell the good people where they can find all of your antics.
All right. Well, if you want to find me at Brian Aldridge on Gab Parler, Getter, maybe Truth Social someday, who knows? Or my blog, biteoftech.com. But of course, go to our website and go to infectionpodcast.com. On the right-hand side, join the server on Discord. And there we have a politics channel, news channel, all kinds of different things, tons of ARC servers running. And so if you want to go get involved in some of those, big active community. If you want to submit news, maybe there's a topic that we're not covering, a game we're not covering that you think we should, put it in the news channel and we'll talk about that. For instance, Sean posted some links. We're going to be talking about some of the ARC 2 things because hopefully they'll be in the spring and summer releasing some news on that. So I've got that on my list of things as new information comes out to pull that. If you want to watch the video forms of the podcast, you can do that through Twitch, YouTube, BitChute, and DLive. Those are live and after the fact. If you want to get the recorded version, that is uploaded after the live show is complete. You can do that to the lower right-hand side through whatever podcatcher type app that you would like to use. If you're going to listen, though, I encourage you to go to that particular episode, click on it, and there will be links for all the things that we discussed. So if there's a video that we showed on the live stream, then you can go ahead and watch that. We have a built-in video player and audio player if you want to watch them right on there. And it's very useful. If you want to support the show, we have the support tab up top, of course, in infectionpodcast.com/support through, as you saw, Twitch subscriptions there for 50 months in a row, which is amazing. And we really appreciate all the support that we do get.
That turns out to be 4.333 years repeating, according to Falcon, who really crunched the numbers here during the show to, I'm sure he had to, punch out his little IBM punch card to computate all of that data. Bro. Well, that was a tough one.
And if you convert it to base 12, then you don't have to deal with an infinite number. And it's
so what is it?
A931.
So he's been subscribed for
18A931 years. Whatever.
Well, that's really helpful. I'm glad that you were able to convert that to base 12. I'm sure that's going to resonate with a lot of folks. Thank you for.
Yeah, we can't do all the threes that there could be. It's the only way we can tell them how much it actually is.
All right, Brian. Thanks. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Yeah, we'll see that.
See you, Brian. Well, there you go. I mean, hey, you get a lot on this show. I'll tell you that. My name is Nick Craig. I do a daily 3-hour-a-day radio show down here on the coast of North Carolina. You can check that out by downloading the Wilmington's Morning News podcast or visiting my website, nickcraig.com. If you missed any portion of this show note, maybe you, for yourself, want to look at how terrible the PlayStation Plus tiers are, you can head on over to our website, infectionpodcast.com. That's going to do it, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.